Jacinta Nampijinpa Price is one of my favourite people, and I'm so glad she's in our federal parliament. We'll be joined by another one of my favourite people, the unicorn that is, Erin Molan, in a second. But Senator, I just want to talk to you for 30 seconds before we got into everything else. You heard what I had to say yesterday. Thank you for posting it on your Facebook page, and you know what I said tonight. It takes strength to speak truth to power, and you know there's a lot of people in that building who, if they speak truth to the wrong type of power, they go to the back of the bus, nobody talks, you're not going to be celebrated. I just wanted to say on the behalf of everyone watching, well done for bringing exactly what we hoped and knew you would bring to the Senate, which is absolute focus and speaking truth to power.
Look, you know, I'm not trying to be celebrated by this government, but you know, it is necessary. It is really necessary to address these particular issues. And I mean, I'm kind of gobsmacked that that it's been so difficult to actually bring these sorts of issues to the attention of certainly this government, you know, those in power. And that's what I'm here to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do, because there are far too many vulnerable people that are relying on me to do this. And because the circumstances aren't changing on the ground, and the only way they're going to change is if we're actually very bloody honest about what is going on, how the problems are occurring, and get rid of the nonsense, absolute politically correct woke crap that we seem to be swimming in.
So do you get exactly, right? But as we make the point, they've got $75 million for a conversation about The Voice, right? They've got $2 million for a First Nations ambassador. But when you're talking to the Children's Commissioner, she's looking you in the eye and saying, sorry, I don't have enough cash to do what you are asking me to do, which is to take care of the kids that most need the help, the ones furthest away from the support systems of Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. They're even away from the support systems of Darwin, for goodness sake.
Yeah, look, her position's redundant. I mean, if she can't do what her job title suggests she's supposed to do, which is uphold the human rights of Australian children, then she's redundant. And I don't see any point in continuing to fund the Human Rights Commission if they're not actually achieving anything tangible with all the incredible amount of salary that they earn, certainly as commissioners, but you know, within their sort of scope of work. And there's this continual theme going on that this separation of Indigenous Australians, which is being pushed and pushed and pushed, but is actually contributing to the demise of our most marginalised, because we're shoved off separately, treated separately to the rest of Australia. You know, there's suggestions of you know, getting an Indigenous sort of commission to look into the looking after children. Bloody well treat all kids the same. Indigenous kids are Australian children, just like any other kid in this country. And where the problems lie is the fact that they are treated differently, and which the Commissioner herself actually had to agree with. The fact that, you know, these kids are left in these situations because they're Indigenous, and you can't remove them from their culture, even though their culture is dysfunctional.
This is it. If you're not following Jacinta on Facebook, do it now. Do it right now, because the stuff she posts is truth. The videos that she uploads is so often the stuff the rest of the media doesn't want to talk about. Erin Molan joins us right now. We've eventually got two tin cans together, and we've got you there at home, and love is written on the bookcase, and it's what we feel for you every night. Now, you in particular took offence, and understandably so, at what was said towards Bridget McKenzie in Senate estimates. For those who don't know what we're talking about, here's the tape.
Just, Senator McKenzie, do you always have to have the last word? I was going to defend you then. Honestly, like a naughty little girl, can you just be quiet while someone finishes? You don't have to have the last word.
Thank you, Chair, but on the point of order that Senator Whish-Wilson raised, asking you to withdraw calling me a naughty little girl...
Yes, all right, I'll take that back. You're not a naughty little girl. I apologise.
Now, Erin, this is supposedly the better side of politics, supposedly the ones who walk the talk about how we interact with female members of Parliament. Another example happened in the Parliament a bit earlier today about Michaelia Cash. I'll show you that in a second, but your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought it was appalling, and not just that it was said, because that was pretty tacky, but when he was pushed to apologise, I thought the way that he did that was so petty, and this is the initial apology that's an apology. and was so mocking and so ridiculous that it made me embarrassed. And the way he even said little, like he was saying, no, you're a naughty big girl. You're right. You're not a naughty little girl. But then later on, he actually apologised. And by the way, be very careful when you're Googling naughty little girl, because I did so and I've now got to clear my entire search history. But I was looking for those types, Paul, and you know them very well, those types that get really angry when anyone says anything that could be considered sexist or against feminism. Silence, silence, silence. But I will do something the lefties never ever do, and that is actually say later on he came out and he apologised, he reflected, it was genuine. And that's okay as well, because we're not all perfect. Sometimes things, as we said, that we might regret. And I thought his later apology was genuine. So I'm willing to accept that and not looking to cancel anyone. But the initial couple of naughty little girls I thought were quite appalling, given, as you said, this is meant to be the new era of respect towards women in politics. But of course, only if you're a woman on the left.
Correct. Now, of course, another one of these people who think they're going to be in power for the next 400 years, Labor MP, who's very big on social media, and no doubt will cut this up and throw it around. Don't care. Anyway, if you're follow at PM off air. All right. Now, this is what he had to say about Michaelia Cash in the Parliament today.
The hysteria and the fear-mongering about this bill is all they've got. Now, Senator Cash, who is indeed, as the Leader of the House told us yesterday, a gift to the nation by leaving her in that opposition shadow minister portfolio. She says it'll lead to more strikes and less jobs. They're spouting hyperbolic nonsense. She looks like a demented real estate agent popping up, running these weird lines. It'll unleash industrial and economic... Actually, that was unfair. I'll withdraw real estate agent because that was unfair to real estate agents.
Jacinta, look, again, not everything's a cancelling offence, and sometimes people just say something stupid and then say sorry. But he was lined up, ready to go, all the blokes giggling behind. Let's just imagine it was a member of your party saying the same thing to Sarah Hanson-Young. We'd be off to the courts by now.
Absolutely, we would. It'd be headlines all over the nation, and ABC would be jumping up and down and condemning, conservative white men for the way in which they treat women in such a misogynistic fashion. But no, and this demonstrates the mentality of the left, and particularly, when we're dealing with these men in these circumstances, the way in which they regard us, certainly as conservative women, that comment, but also Senator Sterle, I mean, fair enough, he apologised upon reflection, but it just shows that in that moment when he was asked to withdraw by Senator Rishworth, that he, in fact, didn't think he had to, that it was perfectly acceptable to make those comments in that moment. But this is what we're up against, and when women stand up, like my colleague Michelle Landry, with regard to Albanese and the way he treated her on the floor of Parliament, we're made fun of. We're made fun of by the leftist media. We're not taken seriously, but because it only applies, to women who belong to their side of politics. It's pathetic.
No, I'm with you. Ladies, love you. Talk to you very soon.